All right, good day, everyone. Okay, let's continue our discussion on insurance law. Okay, and our topic for today is classes of insurance. Okay, but before we dive in, let me share my screen once again. All right. So this is the presentation for today's topic. Okay, and to summarize what we have covered so far, so this is the summary of insurance law. Okay, so we can break this into five major topics. So we started with the concept of insurance law, wherein we defined what is insurance, the elements of insurance, and I hope you can still recall that the most important element is insurable interest, and that element is not present in other kinds of contracts. Again, we should be reminded that insurance is a contract. Okay, and just like any other contracts, it has the basic elements of consent, object, and consideration, but specifically to insurance, insurable interest, okay, is the element that would differentiate this kind of insurance from other, this kind of contracts from other contracts. And then we discuss characteristics, and I hope you can still recall how to use some characteristics in the formulation of our answer during the bar examination. And then we discussed insurable interest in life insurance and in property insurance. And I hope you can still recall what will be the effect in case life insurance walang insurable interest. And what will happen in case in a property insurance, there is also lack of insurable interest. Okay, very important to know the difference. And then we discussed the grounds to rescind a contract of insurance. And we mentioned there were three grounds: concealment, misrepresentation, and breach of warranty. And then as to the contract itself, we discussed when is the contract of insurance perfected, policy. Okay, so this is a technical term referring to the contract of insurance, loss, very important because this is the occasion wherein the insurer will become liable, okay? And also a discussion on double insurance and reinsurance also made, okay? Which leads us now to the classification of insurance. So we have here marine insurance, fire insurance, casualty, surety shift, life, micro insurance, and this compulsory motor vehicle insurance. Okay, so this will be our main topic for today. Okay, so I have here some notes on marine insurance. Okay, this was previously section 99, but with the amendment, we discussed the amendment, right? RA 10607. This section is now section 101. Okay, so if we are to summarize section 101, you will see there that there are two major divisions of marine insurance. First is any loss or damage to the four paragraphs mentioned in the section. It's too long to read. Okay, I hope you still have your code with you. Okay, so the first paragraph. So we have vessels, aircrafts, crafts, and all the items mentioned therein. The second paragraph would be loss or damage to any person, property appertaining to marine. Third would be precious stones. And then bridges comes in the fourth. Okay. Now the second part of section 101 is what we call the marine protection indemnity, okay, or MPI. So this is a catch-all provision. So it mainly says that marine insurance may cover everything related to marine operations. Okay, so very important. So marine protection indemnity, everything related to marine operations. Okay, so this is stated in a general term such that you can practically insure everything and anything related to a voyage. Now, so under the second part, the insurer will be liable for any liability that the insured may insure arising from marine operations. Okay, so we have three types of marine insurance policy. First, we have cargo. Third, second, hull, and then full. So when we say cargo marine insurance policy, of course, we are referring to insurance on the cargoes, okay? And hull marine insurance policy, the vessel is being subject of insurance. And when we say full, so this is an insurance coverage for both the hull and the cargo. Okay. And speaking of cargo, marine protection, marine policy insurance, we have these kinds of cargo marine insurance policy. So we have open, and when we say open, all shipment, okay, is covered by insurance. And when we say voyage, so this is the term for individualized insurance. Okay, and when we can individualize the cargoes per shipment or per time. So let's say, for example, the voyage would be from day 1 to day 30, and then it will continue to day 31 to day 60th, and from day 61st to day 90th, and that would be the end of the voyage. So the period, any of the three periods mentioned, may be covered by an individualized insurance, and also per voyage. Okay, so these are just discussion on the kinds of cargo marine insurance policy. Okay, I think insofar as the bar exam is concerned, this is critical to know when is the insurance effective. Okay, so if someone would insure the cargoes that would, let's say, for example, from Port of Manila, so Port of Manila, so let's say, for example, Port of, let's say, for example, Hong Kong, okay, and let's say, for example, these goods would be the subject of the shipment. Okay, when will the insurance effective? Okay, now generally the effectivity would be from the time when these goods would leave the warehouse, not the port. Okay, this insurance, general rule, will be effective at the time when these goods would leave the warehouse until the time the goods are delivered, not in the port of Hong Kong, as in this example, but up to the time when the goods are delivered to the final warehouse. Okay, but of course, this may be subject to stipulation as stated in the policy. Okay, but without that, then this should be the answer. So in the examination, please take note if there would be a statement as to when would be the effectivity of the insurance. Okay, now as to the hull. Okay, important when we talk about insurance on the hull. Okay, we need to take note that the insurance will not only cover the vessel or the hull, it also will cover the machine, the machinery, as of course, uh, aircraft, vessels, and all this um, transportation equipment. Okay. They run heavily on machine, and that would be also covered by the insurance, and also everything connected to the ship. Okay. Very important also is to know the types of hull. I know this would be some might question bakit to importante, right? But the relevance of this will be shown when we discuss the warranties. Okay, but for now, these are the types of hull. So we have liners. So these are the kind of ship that would travel with a regular time schedule. So ito yung mga sasakyan natin. Let's say, for example, from Manila to Cebu, or Manila to Manila to any other port. Okay, yung mga may regular time schedule, passenger. Okay, so these are ships designed to carry passengers. So tankers, these are ships that are designed to carry dry or liquid cargo, specifically oil. I think we all heard these oil tankers. Bulk carriers, these are ships designed to carry cargo in bulk. Container ship, okay, so these are ships that are designed to carry yung mga container, yung mga boxes. Refrigerated cargoes are the one carried by reefers. So these are used to, let's say, for example, transport mga perishables, yeah, that should be kept refrigerated. Ferries, these are ships designed for short sea transit. Lighters, these are used to bring cargo alongside the ship for loading. Okay? And we have tugs, motorized tugs. This assists the ship in the harbor areas. Okay, and why is this important? Okay, because when we talk about seaworthiness, I see seaworthiness. Okay, later we will discuss this in detail, but right now, a ship is seaworthy not only when it can withstand the usual risk in traveling via water, but also it can, or the vessel should also be able to carry out the the function of the said ship. Okay, such that if we talk about passenger ship, and the ship cannot even carry passengers, or cannot even provide comfort, the usual comfort to passengers, then it can be argued that that particular ship is not seaworthy, even if it can actually withstand the travel or the voyage. Okay, so that's the importance. Now, let's now cover the risk. Okay, so these are the risks that can be covered by marine insurance. So heavy weather, okay, important, in-emphasize dito, heavy. Okay, so the usual rain, the usual yung mga turbulences that should be hindi dapat siya maging problema sa ship, but of course when the storm is quite heavy, then that is the thing that can be insured. Also fire, lightning, explosion, grounding, stranding, collision, machine damage. Okay, I think we are all familiar with this term, right? Lightning, explosion, grounding, stranding. These are, however, things that we need to explain: piracy, okay, and barratry. Okay, so both may commotion dun sa ship. Okay? But the difference between piracy and barratry is that the commotion in piracy is caused by a third party, okay? Mga pirata, but in barratry, the commotion was caused by the captain or the crew of the vessel itself. Okay, in one case, in the case of Roque versus IAC, this is a 1985 case. So let me right here, Roque versus IAC, or the Intermediate Appellate Court. This is a November 11, 1985 case. The term barratry was defined by the court to mean as any misconduct committed by the captain or crew of a vessel for some unlawful purpose without the consent of the owner and to the prejudice of the owner's interest. Okay? Now, what should we learn from this Roque case is that an honest error. Okay, so honest error on the part of the captain or the crew, or mere negligence. Okay, these are not barratry. Okay, at ano yung importansya ng pag sinabi nating mere error or an honest error or mere negligence of the captain, not barratry. Okay, so what is the effect? The effect is that the insurer is not liable. Okay, so that's the lesson there. Now, sue and labor. Okay, what is this sue and labor? So this is actually covered by section 165 of the insurance code. Okay, so this sue and labor would operate in such a way as if there is such a provision in the policy that pertains to sue and labor, the ship owner is allowed to actually employ, okay, or to take all necessary means to save the ship from further loss or even recover the ship. Okay, kaya nga siya sue. Okay, so the ship owner is allowed to hire lawyers, okay, or other legal professionals, as well as laborers in order to recover the ship. And even if the amount of the expenses to recover the ship would exceed the value of the ship, okay, it would exceed, because di ba na pag-usapan natin that contract of insurance is a contract of indemnity. So kung magkano lang yung amount ng property, that is the only amount that can be recovered by the insured. Okay, such that, let's say, for example, just say backtrack lang po tayo. So let's say, for example, this is a house. This house is worth 10 million pesos. This cannot be insured for over 10 million pesos because like what we said, contract of insurance is a contract of indemnity. This sue and labor actually presents an exception, okay? Because in sue and labor, the insurer agrees to pay the cost even if they exceed the policy's limit of liability. Okay, so that is how sue and labor would operate. Okay, and this must be expressly stated in the policy. Okay, now we now discuss perils. Okay, so I think naririnig natin ito dun sa ating mga professor, right? So perils, we can refer to perils of the ship or perils of the sea. Perils of the ship would include the ordinary C. Ordinary sea movement. Ordinary sea movement. Of course, yung paglalayag sa karagatan, right? So hindi naman still ang dagat. Okay? So meron siyang sea movement, okay? Or ordinary wear and tear. Okay? Ordinary wear and tear of the ship, okay? Or it may also cover a simple negligence of the ship captain or the crew. These are considered peril of the ship or perils of the ship. And what is the effect? Okay, the effect is that if the loss is due to perils of the ship, then the insurer is not liable. Okay. Now, what about perils of the sea? So these are the perils that may or may not happen. So may or may not happen, and in case loss happen or damage to the ship will happen because of these perils of the sea, then the insurer is liable. Okay, so examples of this would be any of this one. So heavy weather, fire, lightning, explosion, grounding, stranding, etc. In other words, these are examples of perils, okay, that may or may not happen. Unlike perils of the ship, these are things that would actually happen, okay, because ordinary wear and tear nga ordinary sea movement, okay? All right. Now, what about this all risk policy? Supposing that the marine insurance policy would include this one, an all risk policy. Okay. What does it do? Okay. So we stated here that this all risk policy shifts the burden to the insurer to prove that the loss is not covered by the policy. Okay? And why is this important? It is important because whenever there is a loss, diba? So whenever there is a loss, it is the insured that has the burden of proof that the loss is covered by the policy. But in case there is an all-risk policy in the marine insurance policy, then it does not. Okay? Hindi naman ibig sabihin nun that automatically the insurer is liable. It's just that it is now incumbent upon the insurer to prove that the loss is not covered. And failure to do that, then the insurer should pay the loss or damage. Okay, so that's how an all-risk policy would operate. All right, so let's proceed now to insurable interest. Okay, now question, sino ba? Okay, who are the parties or persons that has insurable interest in marine insurance? Okay, so we have here the owner of the ship, syempre, right? So if you own the ship, you definitely have insurable interest on that ship. And as a general rule, the extent of the insurable interest is up to the value of the ship. Let's say, for example, the ship is 20 million pesos. Okay, so this is the amount that the owner of the ship may insure the same ship. Okay, of course, pwede rin namang ipa-insure at a lower amount than 20 million but not higher than 20 million. Again, because the contract of insurance is a contract of indemnity. Okay, so remember yung ating discussion as to the characteristics of an insurance contract. Okay? Now, when the policy is open, ano itong policy is open? Okay? So, diba, we mentioned that there are kinds of policy. Okay? We mentioned that we have an open policy. We have valued policy. Okay? So valued policy is when the face value, okay, on the face of the policy, it states there the amount, okay, agreed upon. When the policy is open, the amount is not stated, and the amount will be determined at the time of the loss. Okay, at the time of the loss. Now, I hope you can still recall the kinds of policy. We have open, we have valued, and we have running. Okay, so ginamit natin example dito noon, no? Running when the subject matter of insurance, let's say, is a warehouse or store na nagbabago-bago every minute, every hour, yung value of the property, right? Because if there would be new inventories, the value of the property would increase. If there are deliveries or sale or mga disposition, then the value of the warehouse or the store would diminish. And when we talk about marine insurance, so instead no running, we have floating. Okay, so floating marine insurance policy is when there are several ships. Okay, and the particular ship na magko-commence ng voyage will be identified at the time of the commencement of the voyage. Okay, but I don't think that that is important. Okay, but what is important insofar as the bar exam is concerned is when the policy is considered open, okay, the value continues, okay, to be the same at the commencement of the voyage. Okay, so let's say, for example, the ship is 20 million. Okay, so let's say, for example, at the time when it departed from Port of Manila, the ship is worth 20 million. And when the ship was somewhere here, okay, somewhere here, okay, so it met some heavy weather that reduced the value of the ship to, let's say, for example, 15 million. Okay, and when the ship finally arrived at the port of Hong Kong, okay, the value of the ship is worth 15 million. But if the value, okay, but if the policy is an open policy, the rule is that the value continues to be the same even if it is lessened, okay, during the voyage. Okay, so in short, kahit ang actual value na lang niya ay 15 million, let's say for example dito, right, nagkaroon ng total loss, okay, hindi siya umabot dito sa Port of Hong Kong, okay, then total loss happened here. How much is the insurer liable to pay? It is based on 20 million, okay, so 20 million, not 15 million. Okay, so this is the application of Section 103. Okay, Section 103. Now, so we have here exceptions. Okay, exceptions when the ship is chartered. Okay, so ano ba tong when the ship is chartered? Okay, so let's say, for example, okay, so A owns a ship, okay, and the ship is chartered by B. Okay, so the ship is chartered by B. In other words, kumbaga parang aarkilahin. Okay, so parang in layman's term, B will charter the ship, and it will be B that will undertake the voyage of the ship from Port of Manila to Port of Hong Kong. Okay? Now, instead of A operating the ship, B will be the one that will operate the ship under charter. Then it is now the B is the charterer, okay, charter party. Now, why is this an exception? Okay, why is this an exception? It is an exception because let's say, for example, there is an agreement. Again, let's use this amount. The ship is worth 20 million. And based on the charter agreement between A and B, in case of the loss of the ship, B is liable to pay A, let's say, 15 million. Okay? So ano mangyayari? B will have insurable interest up to 15 million because this is the amount by which B will be damnified in case of loss of the ship, hindi ba? Okay? But what about A? 20 million pa ba ang kanyang insurable interest dun sa ship? Hindi na syempre. It will now only be up to, it will only be up to about 5 million. Because A cannot be allowed to insure the ship for 20 million. Because what will happen in case the ship got lost? He will recover or she will recover 15 million and from B, and if he is allowed or she is allowed to recover 20 million from the insurance company, di ano nangyari? He or she will gain 35 million. Okay, so ano gagawin ni A? Ay pagdadasal niya na sana lumubog yung barko to the detriment of so many other persons. Okay, so that's the reason why this is an exception. Okay, so this is an exception to the general rule that the extent of the insurable interest of the owner of the ship is the value of the ship. Another is when the ship is hypothecated by loan on Bottomry. Okay, by loan on Bottomry. So, what is a loan on Bottomry? So, loan on Bottomry is when, let's say, A owns a ship, okay, and A would obtain a loan from B. So, B is the lender, okay, and the agreement is A will obtain money from B on loan on Bottomry. Let's say, for example, the ship is worth 20 million and B lent A 20 million. Okay? Now, what is peculiar with loan on Bottomry is that the loan is conditioned on the vessel's safe arrival, such that if the ship will not arrive safely at the port of destination, then the loan will become extinguished. Okay? A will no longer have to pay the loan to B. So Port of Manila up to Port of Hong Kong. Okay, if the ship will arrive at this port, that is the only time A will have to pay the lender 20 million pesos plus interest, of course. And because of this, the nature of the loan on Bottomry, Okay? Kaya nga bottom, dapat makita yung bottom ng ship dito sa port na to. Otherwise, hindi na magbabayad. This justifies higher interest. So if you have taken up your law on credit transactions, di ba? I think you have all learned the concept on interest. Okay? Siyempre, suspended yung usury law, but based on jurisprudence, if the interest is unconscionable, then the court will have to reduce it equitably. Okay? Pag unconscionable yung rate of interest. Now, in loan on Bottomry, because of the nature, iba yung characterization ng high interest dito sa loan on Bottomry. Okay, but of course that's a different matter. Nabanggit lang because that is somewhat related here. Now, so because of that, okay, because of that, so in this example, okay, so this example, the ship value is 20 million, but A was able to obtain a loan from B, 20 million. How much can A recover? How much can A insure the ship? Okay, is it still 20 million? Well, the answer is hindi na pwedeng 20 million. So how much? In this particular case, because the amount of the loan is equal to that of the amount of the value of the ship, then what happens? Technically, A loses its insurable interest over the ship during this particular voyage. Okay? So in short, A can no longer insure the same ship. Okay? Now, related to this, I made here a note. We need to differentiate loan on Bottomry versus mortgage property or interest or insurance on mortgage property. So let's say, for example, A owns a house, okay? And this house is mortgaged to B, the bank. And the house is worth 10 million pesos. And the loan from the bank is worth 5 million pesos. So this is also the same as the mortgage. How much can the bank insure the house? It's only for 5 million. How much can A insure the house? It's 10 million. Why not 5 million? Okay? Why not only 5 million? Kasi that's the difference between 5 million and 10 million, right? Nabalik tayo dito. Supposing that the ship is worth 10 million, 20 million, and the amount of the loan is not 20 million, but only 10 million. How much can A insure the ship? A can still insure the ship for 10 million pesos. Okay? But why not? Why can we not apply that in this particular case? Insurance on mortgage property. Okay? This is the reason why this is important. Okay? Because in loan on Bottomry, if the ship is totally lost, then the loan becomes extinguished. Okay? The loan is extinguished when the ship is actually lost. What will happen in case the house is totally destroyed by fire? Okay? Is the loan extinguished? Answer no. The loan is not extinguished. And that differentiates loan on Bottomry versus loan on mortgage property. Okay? And because of that, A, in this given example, can insure the same house for 10 million, even if there is an existing mortgage on the property for 5 million. Okay, so very important. Okay, now, so that is the insurable interest of the owner of the ship. Let us now go to another person that's insurable interest on the ship, and that is the lender. So we discussed loan on Bottomry, right? Now, loan on respondentia is a loan secured not by the ship, but by the goods. Okay? Pero yung operation nito is the same, that the loan is extinguished if the goods perish along the way during the voyage. Okay, so let's say, for example, goods are worth 10 million pesos and it is covered by a loan on respondentia and the ship sank together with all the goods, then the borrower will not have to pay the lender under loan on respondentia. Okay, now so what is the extent of the insurable interest of the lender? The amount of the loan, because this is the amount by which the lender will be damnified. Okay, it will not be based on the value of the ship or value of the goods, okay, but it is based on the amount of the loan. Now, next is freightage. Okay, so freightage, simply speaking, is the compensation for the use of the ship. Okay, so let's say, for example, A, okay, is the owner of the ship that will commence voyage from the port of Manila to Hong Kong. Okay, and B would want to deliver these goods from Manila to Hong Kong using the vessel owned by A. And based on this, B will have to pay 1 million. Okay, so the goods is worth 10 million, example, and B and A agreed that what B will pay A 1 million na for this voyage. So ano ang nire-represent the 1 million dito? It's the freightage. Okay? So ano ang relation niyan sa insurance? This 1 million freightage, okay, is a benefit that A will derive, okay, and because of that, A may actually insure this 1 million, okay, because A has insurable interest over this freightage. The same with B, okay, so the ship, the goods is worth 10 million pesos, but ang question dito, may benefit pa ba? Okay, does B expect certain benefit from the delivery of the goods? In this particular case, if yes, then this will also be considered freightage. Okay, why? Because if you will look at section 104, okay, it talks about benefit, okay, either from the ship or the goods. Okay, so kasama yung goods dun sa freightage, and if there are expected benefit from the shipment of the goods, then it can be covered by an insurance policy also. Okay, now charter party. So we illustrated earlier the charter party, or who is a charter party. Okay, and that charter party can also insure or procure an insurance because meron siyang insurable interest. And what is the extent of the insurable interest of the charter party? It is to the extent that he is liable to be damnified by its loss. No, as in the earlier example, A is actually the owner of the ship, and B is the charter party. The ship is worth 20 million, and that's an example based on the agreement. In case the ship is lost in the hands of B, then B will pay 15 million. So how much can B insure the ship? Not 20 million, but 15 million, because that is the extent by which B will be damnified in case of loss. Okay, so hindi niya pwede ipa-insure ng 20 million kasi kikita pa siya ng 5 million. So, hahangarin niya. So, remember the public policy consideration why insurance is an indemnity contract, right? So, ulit-ulitin natin yan. Right? Because that particular principle is important because that will actually help us understand tong insurance na ito. Alright? Alright. Alright. So, of course, there are certain academic discussion on charter, right? Charter may be based on time. Okay, sorry. Charter may be based on time. Charter may be based on time. Okay. It may also be based on voyage. Okay? Or pwede rin naman daw bare boat or bare bottom. Okay? So these are just academic discussion. Okay? But I don't think it will figure in the bar examination. Now let's go now to grounds to rescind marine insurance. Okay? So just like an ordinary insurance, pwedeng concealment. Okay? So this is based on section 109 to 112. Okay? So so we discuss actually concealment. Okay? So we will follow the same rule. What is concealment? So this is the neglect to communicate what ought to be communicated. Okay? So what should be communicated are those mentioned in section 28. Okay? So all the matters that must be that are also required by section 28, and in addition, okay, in addition, all other information possessed by the insured that is material to the risk. Okay, so this must be yung sabihin. Okay, sorry about that. This must all be communicated to the insurer. Okay, now, so in short, we follow the same discussion in concealment in an ordinary insurance, but this is important. In case of marine insurance, belief or expectation of a third person is material. Okay, so unlike an ordinary insurance, okay, and when we say ordinary insurance in this context, all insurance not marine, okay, yung belief or expectation of a third person is material. So remember yung ating example, let's say example life insurance, Okay? A is applying for life insurance coverage and yung kapitbahay sabi, mamamatay naman agad yan kasi laging umiinom yan. Is that material? Answer no, right? That is not material because in that particular example, it was merely an opinion or an expectation of a third party, right? But not A. Ibang usapan if let's say for example, A had himself checked or nagpa-check up si A and A was diagnosed with a certain ailment, so alam ni A yon, then that particular ailment must be communicated to the insurance company because that is material. Okay? But let's say for example, yung third party, yung kapitbahay, yung kainuman o kung sino man na kaasaran ni A, sabi niya, ay naku, nagpa-insure pa to, hindi naman mamamatay ka na next year, sabi that, right? So is that material? No, that's not material. But in marine insurance, let's say for example, A owns the ship and B, okay, is not A or not employed by A, okay, so B is actually a third person, okay, who is actually knowledgeable as to the condition of the ship, okay, and if B has communicated to A certain condition of the ship, okay, which relates to the risk, okay, material to the insurance, then A must communicate such to the insurance company. Okay? Otherwise, if A failed to communicate this belief or statement of belief or opinion of B in this case, then A committed concealment. Okay? Which is an available ground to rescind the insurance. Okay, so this is section 110. Okay, now very important then that in marine insurance, again, this is a rule unique to marine insurance, no? Because in other insurance, section 27, I hope you can still recall, right? In case of concealment, the injured party may rescind the insurance and good faith is not a defense. Okay, so yung mga cases na napag-usapan natin doon, right? So, A concealed that he was sick. A died, not because of his sickness, but due to an airplane crash. Okay? So, did the court allow the beneficiary to recover from the insurance policy? Answer no, right? Even if the cause of death has nothing to do with the fact concealed. Now, in marine insurance, okay, section 112 says that the entire contract will not be vitiated. Okay? Concealment on this 5 will not actually cause the vitiation of the entire contract. Okay? It will merely exonerate the insurer if the loss would occur resulting from the risk that was concealed. Okay? So in other words, if let's say, for example, what was concealed was about the national character of the insured. And the cause of the loss has nothing to do with the national character of the insured, then the insurer would still be liable. Okay? So the loss must be related to the fact concealed. Otherwise, yung loss will still be compensable. Okay, so very important to know this, okay, because of an actual question may be formulated. No? Magandang magawa ng tanong based dito. Right? So, national character of the insured, liability of the thing, insured to capture and detention, liability to seizure from the breach of foreign laws or trade, want of necessary documents, and the use of falsified documents or simulated documents. If you want to know the actual wordings used, then please check section 112. All right? All right. Now, we go now to representation. Okay? So actually, as a ground to rescind the contract, it has to be misrepresentation. Okay? So I hope you can still recall yung what are representations. Right? So these are collateral statements either in oral and in writing. And in case these representations or collateral statements turned out to be false, then that would be misrepresentation, and it will have the effect of, it will actually give the insurer the right to rescind the contract. Okay, so pwede niyang i-refuse, pwedeng i-refuse ng insurer yung claim, okay, based on misrepresentation. So we followed the same discussion we made in other insurance when we discussed misrepresentation. Now, warranties. Okay, so warranties. So yung discussion natin, okay, on ordinary insurance, so we dito medyo malaki yung pagkakaiba. Okay? Warranties. So ano nga yung misrepresentation versus warranties? Okay? So let us make a brief review. Okay? So representations versus warranties. Okay, so representations, these are what we mentioned earlier, collateral statements. Okay, warranties are actually part of the policy. Okay, so these are part and parcel of the policy, while collateral statements, they are not part of the policy because they are mere collateral statement. Okay, so ito yung mga, let's say for example, mga declaration ni insurer, ni insured pala, right? Because the policy, di ba, naka-templated na yung policy, right? So, naka-template na yan, nakasulat lahat dyan, and if what is written here would be yung mga manifestation na nakasulat dito that contains a promise, okay? Promise of the insured not to take alcoholic beverage, promise of the insured to undergo yearly medical examination. So these are considered warranties. So kung property insurance naman, warranty not to store flammable materials in the house. Okay, so these are promises, right? I will not store flammable materials in my house. So these are promises made, right? And in case there is breach, okay, there is certain breach of that promise, then the insurer has the right to rescind based on the warranties or breach of warranty. Representation, on the other hand, hindi siya makikita dito. Okay? So these representations are actually the inducements made by the insured kay insurer para to take on or to issue the insurance policy. Okay? Now, so that's representation and warranty. Now, insofar as warranties in marine insurance is concerned, so we have express warranty and implied warranties. Okay? And insofar as express warranty is concerned, just like any other, yung concept ng express, no, in the course of our law study, when we say express, these are actually written, either written in the contract or policy or written in the law. Okay, so for it to be expressed, for it to be an express warranty, it must be there. Let's use this illustration. It must be expressly written in the policy. Okay, now are there warranties that need not be written? Insofar as marine insurance is concerned, meron. And these are the so-called implied warranties. Section 115 to Section 122 would cover this implied warranty. So this need not be included. So let's say, example, bibigyan tayo ng tanong, let's say A, insured the ship, okay, from XYZ Insurance, and the ship sank because it was not seaworthy, and when A tried to recover compensation from XYZ, XYZ refused to pay on the ground of ship not being seaworthy. A's defense was that there was nothing in the policy. Okay? A's argument is that XYZ should not rescind the contract, okay, based on that argument because wala naman silang pinagkasunduan that the ship should be seaworthy. Then that argument of A is not tenable because it is an implied warranty. Okay, so it is being written in the contract. Kaya nga siya implied. Okay, now there are actually this one. There are 5 implied warranties. Okay, first is that the ship is seaworthy. Second is that the ship will not undertake any improper deviation. Third is that the ship will not undertake any illegal venture, and that the ship carries all the required documents, and lagi namang kasama ito, right? There is presence of insurable interest. Okay? So, these are the implied warranties. Okay? All right. So, let us discuss them one by one. Okay? So, when is a ship seaworthy? Okay? It is seaworthy when, number one, it is reasonably fit. It is reasonably fit to perform the service. Okay? Kaya nga, di ba, when we discuss the kinds of call, okay, we tried to explain somehow ano ba ang function ng reefer, ng container ship, ng mga motorist dogs, okay? Because that is part of seaworthiness, okay? And the ship must be able to encounter the ordinary perils, yung mga perils of the ship na tinatawag, okay? So, fit to encounter ordinary perils. Right? Such that yung isang barko nabasa lang ng konti, lumubog agad, then that is definitely not seaworthy. Okay? Now, the presumption is that the ship is seaworthy. Okay, but that of course is a mere presumption. It can be rebutted by contrary evidence, right? Now, it is actually, diba? Because it is a presumption, then it is the insurer that would have to overcome the presumption, right? And of course, there are several techniques on how to do it. Okay, but insofar as the implied warranty is concerned, this one is important. Okay, so it is also yung fit to encounter ordinary perils. Okay, it also includes the competency of the crew. Okay, such that if, let's say, for example, the the ship, okay, is not complemented by a competent crew, then that particular ship is also not seaworthy because it cannot, it is not fit to encounter the perils of the voyage. Okay. Now, what will happen in case, let's say, for example, we are using this example lagi, right? Port of Manila to Port of Hong Kong. Okay? When the ship left Manila, it was seaworthy. But somewhere along the voyage, let's say, for example, yung 1/3 of the voyage, there was heavy weather here. And because of the heavy weather, the ship became unseaworthy. Okay? Now, if this happens, meron bang breach of warranty in this case? Answer no, right? Because it was shown in the facts that when the ship left the port of Manila, it was seaworthy. Okay? Nagkataon lang nga na may heavy weather dito. Okay? So, ano ang duty? There is a duty on the part of the ship owner to repair. Okay? To repair the ship without delay in order to comply with the warranty of seaworthiness. Okay? So, to summarize, this implied warranty that the ship is seaworthy relates only to the beginning of the voyage. Okay? So when this happens, the duty, right, is to undertake the repair without necessary delay. Otherwise, there will be a breach of warranty. All right? Now, so relative seaworthiness. So relative seaworthiness. Okay, so this is section 121. Okay, now this particular concept says that a ship may be seaworthy, okay, but nevertheless may not be seaworthy for another purpose. Okay, so let's say, for example, the ship is a passenger ship. Okay, and if this is the function of the ship, then the ship is seaworthy. Okay, but let's say, for example, the voyage is not for passenger but for cargo. then the ship is not seaworthy. So this is the concept of relative seaworthiness. Well, the ship is for passenger, but is not for cargo. So what is the implication? The implication is that if this is so, okay, at ginamit yung barko na to na for passenger pero ginamit siya para sa cargo, then there is violation of the warranty on seaworthiness. Okay? Now, so we discussed also yung section 120 about the duty of the insurer, duty of the insured to undertake the repair, the immediate repair in case the ship becomes unseaworthy during the voyage. Okay, now what about, let's say for example, so we are still discussing seaworthiness. Okay, so dito naman tayo sa, sa kabila naman tayo. Okay, so what about the cargo? Okay, what about the cargo? Because we mentioned earlier that insurance may also be on cargo alone. Huh? Supposing that A has these cargoes, okay, and this cargoes would be delivered from Manila. It will be delivered to Hong Kong, okay, but it was actually shipped through a vessel that is not seaworthy. Okay, that is not seaworthy because that is not designed to carry this cargo. Supposing that this happens and the insurance company, the insurer, okay, refused to pay A because the vessel is not seaworthy. Can A claims that not being an owner of the ship, okay, not being an owner of the ship, he has no obligation. Okay? A has no obligation to ensure that the ship is seaworthy kasi cargo lang naman yun sa kanya. Okay? Will this be a tenable argument? Answer, this is not a tenable argument. Okay? This is again based on the case of Roque versus IAC, right? Such that in that particular case, the Supreme Court said that A has an obligation, okay, has an obligation to look for a reliable common carrier. Okay? Well, true, hindi naman sa kanya tong barko na to, right? But there are other ships available. Kaya nga siya common carrier, right? So there are other ships available at it is the obligation of the cargo owner to look for a reliable carrier, okay, that is fitted to undertake the voyage. That is the responsibility of the cargo owner, such that if yung kanina example, A's argument was that he has no control over the ship, over the vessel, then that is not a tenable argument because while A has no control over the vessel, but the Supreme Court said that A has control as to the choice, okay, as to the choice of the common carrier to transport the goods. Okay, so that's I think is important. Okay, now, all right. All right, so we are done with this implied warranty of seaworthiness that now go to no improper deviation. Okay. Now, so because the warranty says no improper deviation, therefore we can deduce that there is there is such thing as a proper deviation. Okay, there's such a thing as a proper deviation. Okay, now so what is actually a deviation? Okay, deviation is departure. Okay, it's a departure from the course of the voyage, in short. Okay, so simply we can imagine that, let's say for example, this one, let's let's use this part. So let's say for example, from port A to port B. Okay, so let's say for example, this is the voyage, right? So this is the contemplated voyage, and if the ship would go here to here, then this constitutes a deviation. Okay, because this is the voyage, but this happened, then that is the deviation. Okay, now if the deviation is improper, then then a loss occurred because of such deviation, then the insurer will not be liable. Okay, now so when is the deviation proper? Okay, so there are actually 5 instances wherein deviation is deemed proper. Okay, number 1, when the deviation is caused by circumstances, okay, over which the owner has no control. Okay, so let's say for example, for some reason, hindi dumiretso yung voyage, okay, napunta sa napanood nyo ba yung the Poseidon? Okay, o yung mga mythology about travel from one port to another, tapos kung saan sila napunta, right? So if really it was done without the control, let's say for example may malakas na bagyong dumating such that yung voyage, yung barko napunta sa hindi niya dapat puntahan, then that is not an improper deviation. Okay? Second is when the deviation must be done in order to comply with a warranty. Okay, let's say for example, one of the warranties is the ship will not face heavy weather. At yung normal voyage, nakita sa lahat ng report na may bagyo doon, right? And because of that, nag-iba ng daan, then that is an example of a deviation to comply with a warranty. In relation, when the voyage is necessary to avoid a peril. Okay? Let's say for example, nabalitaan nung captain na mayroong mga pirata, no? There was sighted pirates in the road. Okay? Now in order to avoid that particular peril, yung barko nag-iba ng daan, then that is not an improper deviation. What if? Okay? What if in the policy hindi contemplated okay, hindi contemplated peril yung piracy. Will the rule be the same? Answer, the rule will be the same, right? Because that is to avoid a peril even if the peril is not insured against. Okay? Fourth is when the peril was made in good faith. Okay? So there was good faith and upon reasonable ground to avoid a peril. Okay, so this is a requirement. Dapat may reasonable ground o na iniisip niya pag dumiretso tayo sa ruta natin, we will encounter a peril here, although hindi naman pala, right? But if that decision was made in good faith and upon reasonable ground, then that is not improper deviation. Okay, and again, last, there must be this element of good faith, okay, for the purpose of saving human life. Right? So may lumabog na barko doon sa kabila, right? And in order to help those who are in distress, right? So the ship made a deviation, and that is not considered an improper deviation because the purpose was to save human life. Okay? Now, again, to summarize, when there is improper deviation and loss occurred, then the insurer is not liable. And conversely, if, let's say, for example, there was proper deviation, the insurer is liable. Right? So, all right. So as to other implied warranty, okay? So no illegal venture, okay? So carries required documents and there must be presence of insurable interest. Okay, so those are the warranties. All right.